Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. We are back with our rationalization at ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon is all about questions, common questions on renal system. Renal system is very important sa boards because nandyan ang dialysis and very rampant talaga ang kidney diseases. That is why isa ito sa mga favorite questions ng BON. Okay? Ako mismo magsasabi, I took the boards and madaming lumabas about this. So wag na nating patagalin. Let's start. Number 1. Which of the following estimated GFR would indicate that the client has severe chronic renal failure? A. More than 90 ml per minute. B. 50 ml per minute. C. Less than 15 ml per minute. And letter D. 20 ml per minute. Okay, our answer here is letter D. 20 ml per minute. Nurses, ano ba kasing gagawin natin para hindi natin makalimutan ang mga numbers na to? Wala nang iba dahil sa akin kayo nanonood, syempre, kakanta tayo. Alright? So, ganito siya. Yung mga nakabold letter lang po ang kakantahin natin. Sige. Raise, mild, moderate, severe, and stage. 90 minus 30, half, less than 15. Okay? Nagets ba? Sa raise daw, more than 90 ml per minute yung GFR niya. And then yung 90, mag-minus ka ng 30, that is 60. So, yung mild is 60 to 89. And then yung 60, i-half mo daw, that is 30. Yung moderate, 30 to 59. And then yung 30, i-half mo na naman, that will be 15. So yung severe is 15 to 29. And yung end stage is less than 15. Again, raise, mild, moderate, severe, end stage. 90 minus 30, half, less than 15. Okay, so therefore, our answer here for the severe chronic renal failure is letter D because 20 ml per minute is within the severe stage that is 15 to 29. Ganun lang po. Okay, I hope na makatulong yan sa inyo para hindi nyo makalimutan. Kasi hanggang ngayon, di ko pa yan nakakalimutan. Okay? Ganyan po tayo mag-memorize. Next question. Which of the following drugs are given to a client with hyperkalemia except A. Spironolactone, B. Furosemide, C. Calcium gluconate, and letter D. Salbutamol. Ano daw ang ibibigay natin sa pasyente na may hyperkalemia except? Our answer here is spironolactone. Why? Kasi it is a potassium-sparing diuretic which can increase serum potassium levels and potentially can worsen hyperkalemia. Okay? How about the furosemide? Binibigay ba sa hyperkalemia? Yes or no? Yes. It is a loop diuretic kasi that promotes urinary excretion of potassium. Okay? How about calcium gluconate? Calcium gluconate naman, binibigay din yan. Although it does not lower the potassium levels directly, but it stabilizes the cardiac cell membrane and protects the heart from life-threatening arrhythmias na dinudulot ng hyperkalemia. Okay? Yung salbutamol naman, it is a beta-2 adrenergic agonist and it is used to rapidly lower the serum potassium. Hindi niya inaalis yung potassium sa katawan, pero it drives the potassium from the bloodstream to the cells. Kaya nagde-decrease ang serum potassium. Okay? Next, furosemide, it can be given as well with calcium gluconate, and salbutamol can also be given. The only exception is the spironolactone. Okay, our answer here is letter A, spironolactone. Next question. Which of the following is the most fatal complication of potassium imbalance? A. Tetany, B. Cardiac arrhythmia, letter C. Diarrhea, and letter D. Constipation. Yung diarrhea, fatal ba yan? Yes or no? No. Yung constipation ba? Fatal din ba yan? Of course, hindi. Between letter A and letter B, our answer here is cardiac arrhythmia. Why? Because it can lead to cardiac arrest. Yung tetany, actually, it is more commonly associated with hypocalcemia, hindi sa potassium imbalance. Again, yung tetany, it is more commonly associated with hypocalcemia, hindi sa potassium imbalance. Although, it is serious, pero it is not the most fatal complication of potassium imbalance. Therefore, ang sagot pa din natin is letter B, cardiac arrhythmia. Okay. Next question. Which of the following findings would suggest that the client is suffering from hyponatremia? A. Thirst, B. Tetany, C. Headache, and letter D. Oliguria. Our answer here is headache. Why? Paano ba nagkakaroon ng headache? Huwag nating kakalimutan na sodium yung major electrolyte sa extracellular fluid. Ibig sabihin, kung may hyponatremia, mababa yung concentration ng extracellular fluid. Kaya nagkakaroon ng fluid shifting o yung tinatawag nating osmosis. Yung tubig is mag-move from the lower concentration to the higher concentration which is in the cell. Anong mangyayari sa cell? Magsuswell. In our body, kaya pang itolerate yan. Pero how about the brain cells? Alam naman natin that the skull is a compartment na hindi expandable. Okay? So kung mag-swell ang brain cells, anong mangyayari? Magkakaroon ng neurological manifestations and our answer here is headache. I hope na gets niyo. Nurses, dapat master niyo na yung principles of osmosis and diffusion kasi gamit na gamit yan. Like for example, sa dialysis din, meron tayong tinatawag na disequilibrium syndrome. Ito yung mabilis na pagkatanggal ng solute sa katawan and since merong blood-brain barrier, mas mabagal ang removal ng solutes sa brain. Ang mangyayari, mas mababa na naman ang concentration sa katawan kaysa sa brain. Ano mangyayari? Magkakaroon ulit ng osmosis. Magmumove na naman ang water from lower concentration to higher concentration. Magsuswell na naman ang brain and magkakaroon ng confusion, headache, and neurological manifestations. Ganun lang po. Okay? Alam nyo lang, yung principle ng osmosis, masasagot nyo yan. Yung thirst naman is sa hypernatremia. The body will stimulate thirst para uminom ka. Uminom ka ng tubig para ma-dilute yung excess sodium. Yung tetany naman is sa hypocalcemia kasama ng muscle spasms, Chivostex, or yung Trogus signs. Okay? How about the oliguria? Finding naman yan sa hypernatremia para ma-conserve yung water para ma-dilute ang sodium. Okay? I hope gets ninyo. Haba, no? Next question. Which of the following findings would you assess in the diuretic phase of acute renal failure? Diuretic phase of acute renal failure. A. Oliguria. B. Hyperkalemia. C. Metabolic acidosis. And letter D. Dehydration. Our answer here in the diuretic phase of acute renal failure is dehydration. Letter D. From the word itself, diuresis, ihi siya ng ihi. Anong mangyayari sa pasyente? Made-dehydrate. And remember, meron tayong tatlong phases ng acute renal failure. First is oliguric phase, wherein urine output decreases. Ibig sabihin, may fluid retention. Okay? Hyperkalemia will also develop kasi nga potassium is not excreted as well with metabolic acidosis and azotemia. Second phase naman is the diuretic phase. Again, ihi siya ng ihi. Therefore, at risk siya sa dehydration, at risk siya sa hypovolemia, hyponatremia, and hypokalemia. Okay? Last phase is the recovery phase wherein renal function gradually returns to normal. Yung oliguria, that is under oliguric phase. Yung hyperkalemia is also under oliguric phase. Yung metabolic acidosis is also under oliguric phase. Oliguric phase lahat yan except to our answer na dehydration. Okay? Next question. Erythropoietin was prescribed to a client with chronic renal failure. Which of the following findings would suggest that the medication is effective? A. A decrease in phosphorus level. B. A decrease in potassium level. Letter C. Less weakness and fatigue. And letter D. A decrease in body weight. Unang-una, erythropoietin is a hormone that stimulates the bone marrow to produce red blood cells. In chronic kidney disease, the kidneys produce less erythropoietin. Again, sa chronic kidney disease, kokonti lang ang naproproduce ng kidneys na erythropoietin. Anong mangyayari? Magkakaroon ng anemia. And anemia causes fatigue, weakness, pallor. Okay? So question, pag nagbigay ng erythropoietin sa patient, which of the following findings would suggest that the medication is effective? Our answer here is letter C, less weakness and fatigue. Erythropoietin does not decrease phosphorus, does not decrease potassium, and does not decrease body weight. Kaya mali ang letter A, B, and letter D. Okay? Sagot, letter C. Next. The patient has no urine output and has edema on his oliguric phase. Which of the following interventions is most appropriate for the client? A. Fluid replacement. B. Increased potassium diet. Letter C. Decreased sodium intake. And letter D. Administration of potassium chloride. Again, sa oliguric phase, hindi siya masyadong nakakaihi. In other words, meron siyang fluid retention. Meron siyang fluid overload. May mataas na potassium kasi hindi nakakaihi. Meron ding metabolic acidosis and azotemia. Okay? Yung letter A, fluid replacement, tama ba yan? May fluid retention na nga, bibigyan mo pa ng fluid? Yes or no? Siyempre, no. Okay? How about yung letter B? Increase daw yung potassium sa diet. Of course, mali. Kasi nga mataas na yung potassium. And yung B and letter D, pareho din yan. May potassium. Therefore, our answer here is letter C. Decrease sodium intake, alalahanin natin sodium retains water. And sabay-sabay tayo, where sodium goes, water follows. Para hindi lumala ang water retention, we should decrease sodium intake. Okay, next question. Which of the following signs and symptoms would the client experience in the oliguric phase of acute renal failure? A. Low BUN, B. Edema, C. Low creatinine, and letter D. Metabolic alkalosis. Same concept, our answer here is letter B, edema, kasi nga may fluid retention. The rest of the choices is kabaliktaran lahat yan. Pag oliguric phase, dapat mataas ang BUN. Dapat mataas din ang creatinine kasi hindi nga nailalabas, di ba? And dapat metabolic acidosis yan, hindi alkalosis. Mali ang letter D. Okay? Next. Which of the following disorders would lead to post-renal failure? A. Heart failure. B. Glomerulonephritis. Letter C. Dehydration. Letter D. Renal calculi. Okay, so discuss muna natin. Meron tayong tinatawag na pre-renal, intrarenal, and post-renal. Sa pre-renal, this is caused by factors that damages the kidney before reaching the kidney. Okay? From the word itself, pre-renal, like for example, is the decrease of blood flow into the kidney. Ano yung mga nagpapadecrease ng blood flow? Included na dyan yung dehydration, heart failure, and hemorrhage. Okay? How about sa intrarenal? Intrarenal, ibig sabihin doon mismo sa kidney. For example, glomerulonephritis, acute tubular necrosis, and yung mga nephrotoxic drugs. And then yung sa post-renal, this is caused by obstruction after the kidney. Post-renal, this is caused by obstruction after the kidney. Nandyan na ang renal calculi, benign prostatic hyperplasia, urethral obstruction, and tumors. Okay? Ayan, so pwede nating masagutan. Again, which of the following would lead to post-renal failure? Our answer here is letter D. Renal calculi. Because it is an obstruction after the kidney. Okay, so pakitignan na lang natin dyan. Paki-post kung nabibilisan. Okay. Next question. The nurse is taking care of client who has chronic kidney disease. The client's magnesium level is elevated. Which of the following medications will be given to the client? Magnesium level daw is elevated. A. Magnesium sulfate. B. Aluminum hydroxide. Letter C. Magnesium hydroxide. And letter D. Calcium gluconate. Wala na tayong pag-usapan dito. Our answer here is calcium gluconate. This is a very common question and baka lumabas ulit. Huwag niyong kakalimutan. Okay? Sagot for elevated magnesium level is calcium gluconate. Next, which of the following medications will prevent the absorption of phosphorus in the GIT? A. Aluminum hydroxide. C. Calcium gluconate. C. Magnesium sulfate. And letter D. Potassium chloride. So, saan dyan ang phosphate binder? Our answer here is aluminum hydroxide. It decreases phosphate absorption. That is why it is used to treat hyperphosphatemia. Huwag niyong kakalimutan. Okay? To prevent the absorption of phosphorus in the GIT, sagot, aluminum hydroxide. Next, which of the following medication is given to a client with hypercalcemia? Hypercalcemia. Our answer here is letter C, calcitonin. It is a hormone that lowers serum calcium levels. It promotes calcium deposition in the bones. Okay? Napupunta yung calcium sa bones. Kaya, nagde-decrease ang serum calcium. Okay? Sagot, calcitonin. Next, Nurse Kevin June is assessing the patency of the client's AV fistula before initiating hemodialysis. Which finding indicates that the fistula is patent? Very common question. Our answer here is letter D. Palpation of a trill over the fistula. It means nafe-feel mo talaga na mayroong dumadaloy na dugo. Kung ang nilagay na option is auscultation of Bruy, pwede din yan. Okay? Yung presence of radial pulse and 3 seconds capillary refill, it indicates adequate circulation. Pero, they don't assess fistula patency. Okay? Yung letter C naman, enlarged blood vessels at the fistula site, that is normal. Okay? Normal lang naman na malaki. Next question. Which of the following are the manifestations of arterial steal syndrome? A. Warmth, redness, pain in the hand. B. Palpation of trill. C. Ecchymosis and audible bruit over the fistula. Letter D. Diminished pulse, pallor, and pain in the hand. Ano ba kasi ang ibig sabihin ng arterial steal syndrome na yan? Ang arterial steal syndrome ay nangyayari kapag masyadong madaming arterial blood ang nadadivert into the fistula. Therefore, nagde-decrease ang blood flow to the distal extremity. Okay? So ano daw ang manifestations ng arterial steal syndrome? Our answer here is letter D. Diminished pulse, pallor, and pain in the hand. Kasi nga, nag-decrease ang blood flow to the distal part. Okay? Also, may pain din kasi nagkakaroon ng ischemia. Ischemia leads to anaerobic respiration of the cell, and the byproduct of anaerobic respiration is lactic acid, and since lactic acid is toxic to the cell, the patient will feel pain. Okay? O, diba? Ganun po. Yung letter A, possibly infection yan. Yung letter B and C, those are normal findings po.